We're on.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting, May 11th. Tonight we have regrets from Councillors Robinson and Miller. And I'm the chairperson, Councillor Jay Brennan. I'll begin with our land acknowledgement. On Monday, May 11th, 2026, we acknowledge this sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been the site of human activity for over 10,000 years and rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we may be here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations together. May we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:02, and I have a proposed motion for approval of the agenda that May 11th Committee of the Whole meeting agenda be approved as circulated, moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor McGuire. All in favor? Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflict of interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. And we need approval of the minutes, that the minutes of April 27th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meetings be approved as circulated, moved by Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor McGuire. All in favor? If we have no delegations, I'll look to CEO Morris if we have any director's reports this evening.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one from Ms. Braun, our relatively new Manager of Economic Development and Tourism.
Great. Welcome back.
Thank you for the second one. Thank you. Not too much to report because I haven't been here for the last 5 weeks, but I did want to give you a few updates. Our Small Business Advisory Center contract is coming up for renewal. We'll be dealing with that at the next meeting, and they can report the summer company is full for this year. We have summer students that have started with Heritage House Museum and Economic Development that we share with Community Services. They're in place now and seem very experienced. We're thrilled about that. There's lots of empty spaces in town, as we are seeing. We're working with our partners to try and figure out how to fill those, and there is some really positive interest, and I think some announcements coming soon. Tourism, we have just released the Visitor's Guide, developed in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, and our events card, which lists all the events we do with the city, with Powwow, Community Services, Heritage House Museum, and as well as all of our partners events. So those are out. What is something that's exciting is the online digital version of this was released on March 19th. And last year, to put it in context, there were about 4,700 views of the Visitor's Guide, which isn't great, but as a baseline in the entire year. This year, as of March 19th, we've already had 4,200 views. So it looks like there's a lot of growing interest in the town and our attractions. Regarding tourism, we have received our draft of the destination plan and recommendations for search engine optimization and our generative engine optimization. And no other municipality is actually using a GEO for helping people to craft and refine their searches. So I think that'll give us a really good competitive advantage. More to come at the next council meeting. One thing that's exciting about this, though, is that we're going to be receiving training from the consultants on operating our dashboard and on generating reports for council and others, as well as interpreting the data that we're gathering. So that the evidence-based data that will help inform our strategies going forward will be really, really important. One thing that I noticed when I got here is I very much feel that tourism is an important pillar of economic development, and often it's sidelined and not included in the overall ECDEV approach. And I think that's an opportunity. Not only is it a viable sector of our economy, but economic development as a pipeline, visitation is the first start of that funnel, that pipeline. So what I'm working with our partners to understand and to craft in both our destination plan and our ECDEV strategy is that every visitor walking through the front door of our business and visit our welcome center, basically, and every visitor encountering us online is potentially a resident, a business owner, an investor, a retiree, somebody who's willing to perhaps move here open a business here. And so I think really capitalizing on that opportunity sets us up for success and allows us to craft a more fulsome economic development strategy. So to that end, the consultants who prepared the DP have pivoted to include tourism as a key part of our destination plan, and have helped us kind of change the language from tourism to visitation, looking at all visitors, which include, for instance, hockey families coming to the arena. Each of those is a potential long-term resident or business partner. So lots of exciting stuff in how we talk about tourism coming to you, and I wanted just to share some of those updates and resources. And any questions, or is there questions?
Thank you, Ingrid. Any questions, Councillor McKenna?
Yeah, thanks very much. Not tonight, but maybe on your next update, could you give us an update on the Kingston Bridge and the impact on Parks Canada you may or may not be up to speed on the bridge closure in Kingston, but if we could get an update for this year.
Okay, I'll do that. Kingston, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Other questions, comments? Yes, Mayor Paxton.
Just with that, I think between CEO Morris and I, and we can help bring Ingrid up to date on a meeting we've had recently with officials from up and down the corridor.
Great.
Fantastic.
LaSalle Causeway. Councillor Quinn?
No questions. Just welcome back. Glad to see you.
Thank you. It's really nice to be back. I feel like I've come full circle. I feel like I've come home. So.
Thanks, Ingrid. And we look forward to working with you again. Exciting. Thanks. Anybody else?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. No committee of the whole consent reports. We have 4 priority items. 9.1 is Lift Park Control Plan 27M-102 Block 5, Bellamy Farm Phase 2 with Director Grenke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. So bringing forward a recommendation that Council passes a bylaw lifting part-locked control provisions of the Planning Act for Block 95, which is the final block in the Bellamy Farm Phase 2 subdivision, to allow the division of that lot into 2 to finish off the semi-detached dwelling that's under construction, allow each unit to be sold separately. I'll look for any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, questions, comments? Councillor McKenna?
Yeah, I'm supportive of this riveting report. And Carl, if this is the final block, is this is the entire subdivision going to be built out within the next? When is it finished?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this is the final block in Phase 2. So every part of Phase 2 is either complete or almost complete. There is one remaining parkland block, and that is something that Director Clark and I are sort of working on, and we'll be working on with Council over future budgeting years. That is the parkland in Phase 2 block. But Phase 3, that is what's under construction and what Parkview is focusing on right now. I think I understand from my conversations with the developer, the changes to the HST provisions have spurred a little bit of interest, so they're seeing a bit more demand for townhouses now. So I think we're working on a couple blocks that recently got building permits. We'll probably have part lot control applications in front of you in the coming months. I think Parkview's original intent was that they would be building out maybe 40 to 50 townhouse units per year, and I think there's about 150 in that block. So I'm not sure if that's still if that's changed, but it'll probably be a few years before that phase is all finished.
Great, thank you.
Good news. Any other questions? Support from committee? Okay, so that'll come up at the council meeting immediately following this. Thank you, Carl. And you're still here for our Heritage Advisory Services 3-year standing offer agreement.
Thank you. So development services staff are bringing forward a recommendation that council authorizes the execution of standing offer agreements with NPG Planning Solutions and Stantec Consultants for heritage advisory services. So over the past couple of years, cultural heritage has taken on an increased prominence within our operations, as well as among the priority items that council's been under position to consider. So that includes, of course, looking at individual properties and also looking at heritage more strategically, including the adoption of the Heritage Conservation District Plan that helps define a sense of place in our downtown core and provides a framework to support growth and development there. So in our experience, heritage has evolved into sort of a unique service area within our broader planning and development process that includes unique technical implications and strategic considerations. Similar to most small urban municipalities we've talked to over the years, the administration of the Heritage Act tends to reside within planning departments or divisions, and in many cases, staff do not have specialized heritage training or qualifications. It's one thing among many others that we do. So throughout this world, it is common practice for municipalities to support council's decision making by bringing on subject matter experts to guide us in situations where in-house capacity or technical expertise doesn't exist. So in Smith Falls, we already do this through engineering services, and many other communities have brought on-call advisory services for environmental, engineering, planning, heritage, and a variety of other things. We've identified the need to support our heritage advisory services to procure operational, technical, and strategic advice on an as-needed basis with the scope of work that was identified in your report. Doing so on a standing offer basis gives us immediate term on-call and project support without having to do individual procurements, and of course without having to go into the commitment of new staff. And that gives us the opportunity to approach heritage more proactively rather than reacting to situations that arise, and this would be funded out of our existing professional services budget. The department launched an RFP for heritage advisory services, and we're fortunate to get 13 submissions from firms all across the province, including several who've worked with the town on individual projects, as well as others who have experience with standing offers in similar communities. So you can no doubt appreciate that staff took some time to give each proposal due consideration, and needless to say, we're appreciative of the significant amount of interest in working with us. We interviewed the top 3 shortlisted firms and also checked their references. The RFP stated that we'd be looking to enter into a standing offer agreement with up to 2 consultants. We wanted the option to pick more than one, just in case of a conflict of interest, and also to give us more flexibility in assigning work to the firm best equipped for an individual project, but also limit the number of consultants. We didn't think the volume of work necessitates that we have a long list for this task. Our report recommends that we enter into the agreements with the top 2 scoring firms according to the criteria set out in the RFP. As you can see, the scoring between the second and third was very close, and several other firms scoring closely behind. What we looked for were firms who were experienced in working with municipalities, particularly in having done projects similar to what we've done and what we're probably going to do, who were easily accessible to visit Smith Falls. I think the site visit is certainly an important part of what they would be doing. Had a track record of creative problem solving, locally focused solutions, and also can add value in terms of being able to provide multidisciplinary support. So with all that being said, we feel we would get good heritage services from NPG Planning Solutions, led by Marcus Letourneau, whose firm has extensive experience with other municipalities and also teaches the Heritage Planning for Practitioners course previously out of the Algonquin College in Perth campus. Also, Stantec has done our HCD, and they're uniquely familiar with the town and at a lower cost can provide support. So with that being said, I'll await any questions from council.
Councilor McGuire had his hand up very early there.
I tell you, I wasn't expecting such a long blurb, but it's a great blurb, and I agree with all the things that Carl's brought up. I think it's really good that this is going to give us an option for the expertise without an ongoing cost. My one question is there any cost to adding to having these firms on retainer, or is there any disadvantage of having 3 versus 2, or what? How did you come to the 2 versus 3?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the RFP did not identify additional costs relating to entering into, by virtue of entering into the agreement. We identified two, just in a large part, just so that we're not managing too many contracts altogether. So we're not expecting that we'd be expecting to pay as you go if we get any of. Once and if council approves the contracts, we'd be entering into service contracts with each of the successful bidders, and those service contracts would spell out hourly rates for day-to-day consultation if I need to call somebody looking for advice, as well as defining the scope and terms of individual projects. So if we were to be retaining a consultant to prepare a cultural heritage evaluation report or a designation bylaw or something like that, then that would be a cost. If we don't use the consultant, then we wouldn't be paying anything. So I don't see a financial impact in terms of if we were to add a third consultant to the roster. The RFP itself specified that we'd be looking for up to two. The RFP document gives us a fair bit of leeway in terms of sort of defining the ultimate interest of the town. I'd look to the CAO if there's potentially any administrative or sort of legal risk that might be that we might be exposed to if we were to pick a third rather than the two that were
Neil Morris?
Yeah, I don't think we're vulnerable to any kind of legal, recourse from that point of view. I think it's important to understand we're not paying a retainer, so there is no cost. We chose two simply because we think with the volume of work we anticipate that we think two can handle it. And it's a matter of controlling the number of contracts that we manage.
Councilor McGuire?
Thanks. I appreciate the simplicity of 2 versus 3, but also considering we've got a low volume of work, but also these are relatively small firms with a relatively limited number of professionals that can work on projects. And it's not uncommon. Like we've had other RFPs that have gone out that we've had a really hard time getting bids on. So considering that there's only a 0.2 difference between the third place and the second place, I'd suggest we add all 3, and there's no cost to the town for that, but it gives us more flexibility.
That was actually, thank you for that. And that was my question, because the matrix, you're going into 0.2 at a scale of 100, I assume. And I know why it's pretty granular, and the difference between 2 and 3 is nothing. It's 0.2. So I would agree with Councilor McGuire on that one. Anybody else?
Sure.
That's good.
Yeah,
Councilor McKenna?
I'm neutral on the numbers, but I just had a question. Carl, will the firm only react to issues, or can you invite them in to actually do a review of our existing systems to manage heritage and historical, and then have them offer? Do we have to wait till there's something you can't answer, or can we be proactive and get them in, I think, to acclimatize them to looking underneath the hood in your department? So
I think typically the consultants will be responding to us, similar to if we need legal assistance on something, we'd send an email or ask for a project, and they would undertake it. I think one of the things that we'd be looking at doing very early on, as you know, we have a new heritage conservation district. We're looking at potentially a number of designations, and sort of it's important from a practice standpoint to develop solid standard operating procedures and a process for managing applications. So one of the things that we would be doing very early on with at least one of our chosen consultants is reviewing that process that we've sort of developed in-house, and making sure that it meets industry standards, and looking for any feedback from them. I think the nice thing about having somebody on call to help us out is we can bounce ideas off them, and ultimately help you come to the best decisions, and part of that is looking at those broader operational elements and making sure that we're operating as effectively and efficiently as possible.
Great,
Go ahead,
thank you.
Councillor.
Just on the 3 versus 2, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of work. And if we have 3, there's, is it worth their while to keep us on? They're going to be busy. I don't know. I'm neutral on it. So if the majority want to do that, I'm fine with it.
Okay. So I'm fine with 3. We would have to amend the motion, or I think it's a motion coming up, but to add one more, but I'll look to committee to see agreement for 2 or for 3. 3? Sure. 3. Okay, thanks, Carl. And I think it's a great report, and I think it's a great idea, but you know what? Many minds are better than fewer, so, right? Okay, so that'll come up next in the council meeting, and we'll add on the other third firm, WMTA.
Excellent.
To that. Okay, thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
9.3 is AMO delegation request with CO Morse.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Association of Municipalities of Ontario Conference is coming up rapidly in August, middle of August. Some years we submit ministerial delegation requests, sometimes we don't. In this instance, we had a conversation at the management team level and didn't see anything that rose to the surface as being worthy from a staff point of view to bring forward. But I would just remind committee that at the Roma conference in January of this year, we applied for 3. We did a delegation that I thought was very effective for the OSIF funding, which you'll find there's a correspondence on tonight's agenda. So I think we made a very good case for continuation of the funding and indexing it to some kind of inflationary factor. There is no commitment beyond 2026 for OSIF, so that's certainly a vulnerability for Smiths Falls and every other municipality with fewer than 100,000 people. So we did that. We also applied for Connecting Link. We withdrew it because we got the funding, so that was a very effective one. And we also applied but did not get a delegation to talk about the exemption from DCs for long-term care homes. And that was a very real example where we did not collect DCs on the most recent build. And we will not, at this point, from a provincial policy point of view, collect DCs on future long-term care. That's north of $1 million for 2 facilities. So we did not get a delegation. I think the message is that that policy is probably not going to change. So I would recommend we not pursue that again. But I'm open to suggestions. If we go back to last year's AMO, we did apply and got a delegation to talk about the Smiths Falls Regional Recreation and Sport Facility. We had a really good discussion. And they liked what we told them about the facility, and they wanted us to come back once we have a more shovel-ready project, and we're working towards that end right now. So I think that one's in order. We also had a delegation about the health and safety water stream, and as we know, Friday's announcement, that turned out really nicely for the town of Smiths Falls. So I think we've had a pretty good track record with our delegations. But at this point, staff are not recommending any, but we're open to any suggestions council might have.
Any ideas? Councillor McKenna?
When is the deadline to apply? There's a reason I'm asking.
For a
this,
delegation.
For the delegation, because if we don't get clarity on whether DC changes apply to a small municipality like ours, or if we don't know that would be one that I'd be, depending on the outcome of that would be the only one that could affect us.
Right.
Financially.
I'm looking to the clerk. I think it's the 21st of May.
I believe so. I was going to say the 18th or the 21st.
This is the last scheduled meeting we have before the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
So we are unlikely to get clarification on what the impact of DC changes on our municipality our size before that. Unlikely. Yeah, correct.
So I had a couple of questions, And on that one, and the DCs and the OCIF, is there an AMO position or a Eastern Ontario Warden's position, or are they pursuing that? Would they be pursuing that at the conference?
Yeah, great question. So Eastern Ontario mayors have not taken a position. AMO has. They've advocated for specifically continuation. Our resolution was a little more robust in terms of indexing it and a few other things that we asked for. But AMO is certainly advocating for an extension.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I just comment that at the FCM conference I was at a year ago, that was a huge theme about sustainable infrastructure funding for municipalities, and the point was made that and I think it was Ontario, that model was developed in the 1800s, and so it's like you have to wait for announcements, that type of thing. So I'm glad that that AMO's taken a position on that. I had one idea for a delegation, and it's an old nugget, the old cemetery trust fund issue, where we have a good amount of money in a fund that we can't use. And I know that I thought we did one 2 or 3 years ago, type of thing. And I don't know if sometimes with this type of thing, if you keep coming back, they get sick of you and it's like, go ahead, you can have the money. But any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. As a consequence of I think our advocacy and the advocacy of others, the province established a task force, and because we put our hand up, we were on that group. They made changes to the legislation. I would say they probably dealt with the fringes of the issue, not the substantive part of not being able to manage a reserve fund like we manage every other reserve fund. So we didn't get the full autonomy we were seeking. We got the ability to borrow from the reserve, but we have to pay it back. So the next logical step would be to ask for us municipalities to simply manage it as we see fit.
Yeah. Just for how much do you know offhand how much is in that?
Look to the treasurer, but it's north of 500,000.
Correct.
Councilor McGuire?
So just for the DC one, we don't have enough information to apply for it, or should we apply for it now and withdraw from it if clarity comes?
Yep. Yes.
I think, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think there are 2 elements to DCs. There's the exemption for long-term care. We could take another run at that because it is perhaps relevant. The other one is the recent legislation about a 3-year hiatus, or a 3-year halving of DCs. We simply don't know enough about the regulations to support the legislation to comment. We may know before the conference. So if you wanted to get in the queue, we could do that, and we could always withdraw. But I would say those 2 may be good fodder for at least an application.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I like the DC idea. I like the cemetery idea. The one that's always on my mind is the impact assessments are still way out of whack. Because we're going to hear about it. It always comes up in an election year. But it's not fair, right? You've got some people are paying crazy amounts on a place that's been assessed relatively recently, and other places are underpaying. So did that go anywhere? We talked about working with other municipalities.
Yeah, I would say AMO's certainly advocating very consistently for an updated assessment cycle. So I would say it's probably, I think the province understands municipalities' position on that quite clearly. Having said that, we're still not clear on what the impediment is to get back on track. But I would say there's a lot of advocacy on that item already.
Councillor McKenna?
Just on that, and one more if I may,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, just when they have the session with the cabinet and premier, and there's always a question on this, the whole room breaks into full applause and cabinet just sits there and don't really answer that. So there is, you're right, they've heard it. My only other thought was around our external partners, and I'm turning to the mayor, thinking when Michael Cohen was here last, he talked about plans for a capital redevelopment long-term. Are they doing any advocacy that planning grants or something that we could
Yeah, I would say that'd be,
still?
the hospital has their own plan,
They have their own.
yeah, as it relates to how to work with the province.
Okay.
For that objective.
Okay, thanks.
So, I mean, not to put too much on staff's plate, I think the cemetery is an easy one because we've done that. You just go at it again. And I think I had support for talking about the DCs as well. So those two, Councillor McGuire had mentioned MPAC. I think that's probably self-evident.
Yeah,
I mean, when you don't have an assessment since 2016. So those two would be two that we could do. Councillor McKenna, kind of.
Just a bird whispered in my ear while you were speaking, Mr. Chair.
Blue Jay.
We're wondering if Rideau Community Health Services and their health hub, is there anything that they want a delegation, or are they, again, thinking of external partners?
That's been pretty quiet.
It's been very quiet.
Yeah.
So
So
they're just in queue, I guess. And they're not asking for our help, but
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may, so we've been working closely with Rideau Community to help kind of guide that process from a site selection point of view. The last time we met with them, I sensed they were getting traction on the site selection piece, but that was some time ago. I'm not sure the ministerial delegation is the right avenue for that.
yeah.
But having said that, I think we could circle back with the leadership at the health center and find out if there was a lobby effort, we could support their lobby effort to move the project forward.
Yeah.
great, thanks.
Okay, thank you. So those two would be worth taking a shot at. Not to say you're going to get a delegation on either front, but I don't think that wouldn't be too onerous to put together. So everybody in agreement with that?
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
Good. Thank you for that. And now you're still on with the 2025 annual report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Really excited to release our 2025 annual report. It's a very easy 10-page read. We do that purposely so people will pick it up and be able to get through it in 4 or 5 minutes. So it's chock full of information. 2025 was a very active year. The mayor's message covers much of the large projects and accomplishments in 2025. So I'll just breeze through some of the highlights to give perhaps those at home an idea of what we accomplished in 2025. Obviously, the big one was Old Home Week, a 10-day celebration that brought people from far and wide to Smiths Falls. I think that was an unqualified success. Bike nights, we supported the DBA and their bike nights, which got off to a really strong start last year, and we're very excited about this year's events. There will be 4 of them. Another big item was the new water tower, of course, a very important piece of infrastructure. And with Friday's funding announcement, we'll be able to complete the infrastructure system to make sure we're getting full value out of that structure. The Confederation Bridge obviously was a big, we moved that project forward in 2025. It'll be finished shortly. We are planning, as Director McMunn had indicated, a ribbon cutting We will be bringing back, by the way, a discussion on naming that came out of last week's meeting. So more to come on that. Broadview Nursing Center was obviously a big accomplishment, not necessarily municipally, but for the community itself. And again, there was a media event. The Premier was there on Friday. The Heart Homelessness and Addictions Recovery Treatment Hub opened this year. Probably, I would hazard a guess, one of the quickest implementations in the province of a Heart Hub. So remarkable accomplishment to get it up and running so very quickly. Other communities are still not struggling, but it takes time to establish them. Ours, through the efforts of the mayor and the Samirs and Lanark County Mental Health and Leeds Grenville Mental Health and Addictions, it was an incredible team approach to get it up and running. So I think that's a feather in everyone's cap. I would also point to the Youth Arena study. We've talked about that and the concept of a regional recreation facility. We moved that forward. More to come, certainly in 2026. We did a rural transit study in 2025, so we have some recommendations there that are going to come back to this council this year. So that was a big policy document. Of course, the official plan, Carl and his team have been capably shepherding that process. That's obviously a big part of what we do and where we're going as a community. The Climate Protection Working Group has done great work. We're poised to bring forward this year a draft climate action plan. That's milestone number 3 of the Partners for Climate Protection program. So we moved that forward considerably in 2025. We opened a new trailhead at Cataraqui on the Cataraqui Trail. I think that was a huge accomplishment. It's open, it's available for people now to safely park off street and use an incredible 102 kilometer hiking path trail. We did George Street Phase 2 was a big accomplishment in 2025. It's a beautiful new street with stormwater going where it should go and sewage going where it should go. We expanded our fire dispatch service by 3 contracts in 2025. That was a big achievement. That's a revenue generator for the town. And lastly, I would comment or highlight that Director Clark and her staff have been doing amazing work to get more people in the recreation facility. And in her words, we need to get more people being able to see themselves in our wonderful recreation facilities. And we're doing that through a variety of ways. One of them is shinny hockey. We used to do that once a week. Now it's being run 3 times a week and it's packed with people. I can tell you from experience, it's a great turnout every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've had schools in the arena, on the ice, skating, people that probably didn't have an opportunity in the past to use the facility. We've got more people using the walking track. It's becoming a hub of recreation. And that's through the efforts of our staff to open the doors and welcome people in. And usership is unprecedented in 25, and we're hoping for an equally good 2026. So those are some of the highlights. There's more in the report. I would encourage people to read it. It will be on our website tomorrow, and we will print a limited run of hard copies. We usually do 20, so we'll make sure everyone that wants a hard copy gets one. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Questions, comments? Councillor McKenna.
Just on the walking track, I talked to a member of Perth Town Council, and he and his wife use the walking track all winter and love it. So just that's a fun fact. I just wanted to do a shout out to corporate services. One of the things that worked really well over our 100+ council meetings and COW meetings were 53 bylaws, 130 reports to council. Those are of such quality that we're able to make decisions, either on the day of the meeting or shortly thereafter. It's very rare that council doesn't follow staff recommendations. So I just wanted to shout out to corporate services, the clerk's office, human resources. That's the foundation that make our job so much more rewarding. Is it runs smoothly, efficiently, and the collaboration around this table, I'm always impressed by. We don't always agree, but it's just been a really great last year, and I hope this year being our last year together is equally as a success. So thanks.
Thank you for that. Questions, comments? So I think you just scratched the surface on that brief presentation, and I think that this document, although is not the longest of documents, is pretty concise and should be required reading for anybody thinking about joining the group here. My question would be about the hard copies. So just 20, or I guess we could print more as we need them.
Absolutely. In the past, we haven't had a big demand for paper copies, but if we need more, we'll certainly get them.
Okay. Yeah, I think it should be widely available. I hesitate to suggest put it in the mailboxes, but that might be an idea. I mean, we did a calendar, and I don't know. I don't know what the cost would be, but it's something to think about. Councillor Quinn?
What about thinking about councillors having a couple of copies as we're talking to people? I mean, quite often, well, just where I work, we talk about a lot of things. So, you know, I would think maybe we had a couple of copies.
Mayor Panko?
Are they available at reception downstairs?
They will be, yes.
Probably at Welcome Center too, I assume. That'd be, so those two places people will congregate.
Oh, I think it's great work. Any other comments? Okay, thank you for that. I assume there's no committee, board, and external organization updates. And that brings us to the end of this part of the meeting. I'll look for a motion to go in camera as provided in section 239 of the Municipal Act to amend to move in a closed door meeting at 5:45 to discuss a litigation matter. Moved by Councillor McKenna, second by Councillor McGuire. All in favor? So we'll be leaving for a short time. We'll be back.
back on.
Thank you and welcome back. Just a Horizon report, council is back at session now at 6:20, and the Horizon report is council discussed a litigation matter and staff were given direction. Information listed in correspondence items. We have two correspondence items. One is a resolution from Municipal Wawa regarding to extend the OSEF envelope at not less than $400 million behind its current 5-year limit ending 2026. We had a little discussion about this earlier. So we'll just take that as information. I trust council's read it.
Yeah.
And the other one is a letter we've received from the Ministry of Emergency Preparedness and Responses, Re-Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. And that is for information as well.
Confirmation, we're doing the right things.
Yes.
Meeting our requirements.
Yeah, we're meeting the standard. No notice of motion. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. The committee adjourns its proceedings at 6:20 p.m. and stands so adjourned until the next duly called committee meeting. Moved by Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor McGuire. All in favor? We'll be back for council meetings shortly.
We're back on.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the special meeting of Smith Falls Town Council for Monday, May 11th, 2026. On Monday, May 11th, 2026, we acknowledge that the sacred land in which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, and be mindful of generations to come. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:24 p.m. A motion for approval of the agenda is with Councillor Quinn, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that the May 11th, 2026 special council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, second by Councillor Brennan, that the May 11th, 2026 special council meeting agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? That's carried. Ask for disclosure of pecuniary interest and/or conflict of interest in general nature thereof. Seeing none, we have no minutes. Any council reports? Nope. Okay, I have one myself, and just want to speak briefly, one proclamation as well. Okay, so I'm going to start. I guess I'll start with a report anyway. Anyway, I think most of us were in attendance on Friday when we were fortunate to have the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, as well as Acting Infrastructure Minister Todd McCarthy here to essentially formalize the delivery of a $13.3 million contribution to our trunk water main separation project. Trunk water main and sewer separation project. So it was great to have them in town. I think it's the first time we got a premier here since Premier Wynne was here, I think in 2016 or 17. So a lot of gratitude to our staff at the water treatment plant who really stepped up to make sure the facility was prepared and ready, as well as Smiths Falls Police Service, which also helped providing security. And of course, the second part of that was moving over to Broadview nursing home for the sort of formal ribbon cutting and opening of Broadview, which again was heavily supported with provincial support. And I'm gonna probably mess up the name, but also the Ministry of Long-Term Care, Natalia Kusendova Vashta. I apologize if I've mispronounced her name. Was also able to come in at least for that official ribbon cutting at that point in time. So it's great to have the kind of exposure in our community. A lot of press tends to follow the Premier around, so it was a busy day. And I know again, great work by staff to make sure everything was ready, everything was perfect. It was nice to be in the bottom of the water treatment plant where the pumps are. It was quiet, but it was a great place for the press conference to be held. So gratitude to everyone involved.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just forgot to mention the parliamentary assistant was there for long-term care.
MPP John Jordan, yes.
Yes.
And I really, thank you. Certainly a key ally and probably the Premier would not have been there without MPP Jordan's advocacy and support and strong work within the constituency. And then I have one proclamation. It relates to National Accessibility Week and Red Shirt Day, May 21st to June 6th, 2026. Whereas throughout Canada, the last Sunday in May is to be known as National Accessibility Week, and it's an opportunity to promote inclusion and accessibility in our communities and workplaces, to celebrate our progress and to be inspired to further break down accessibility barriers. Whereas many Ontarians live with some form of disability, and as a result, there is a need for greater awareness, enhanced service delivery, and opportunities for persons with disabilities. Whereas individuals with disabilities are impacted daily by barriers to information, facilities, employment, transportation, and communication supports, therefore negatively challenging an individual's ability to fully participate in community life. Whereas accessibility and inclusion are essential for ensuring that all community members have equity and opportunities and the ability to fully participate in community life. Whereas Council, the Corporation of Town of Smiths Falls is committed to accessibility and has an accessibility advisory committee to play a pivotal role in helping the Town of Smiths Falls become a barrier-free community. Whereas Council, the Corporation of Town of Smiths Falls form the Smiths Falls Equity for All Committee and advance the town's efforts to further develop a diverse and inclusive community that provides equity to all citizens. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Sean Panko, Mayor of the Town of Smiths Falls, do hereby proclaim May 31st to June 6th, 2026 as National Accessibility Week and come together to celebrate the valuable contributions and leadership of the Canadians with disabilities. And that Red Shirt Day of Action for Accessibility and Inclusion takes place this year on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. And all citizens across Canada are encouraged to wear red to show their support and solidarity for persons and families of those living with disabilities. Okay, so moving into our formal business, we have no consent agenda, but we do have a motion with Councillor Quinn, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that council receive the Smith Falls 2025 annual report as information.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor Quinn?
This is an amazing report, and a lot of work went into it. We've been very busy in 2025, and there are going to be hard copies for the public to be able to sit and go through this and actually see, because sometimes, you know, things happen and the public doesn't always realize, but this is a wonderful report with hard copies being made available. And some councillors might even have some with them, so please come out and ask for this.
Thank you. Any further comments? Yes, Councillor McKenna.
Just that it's available online as well. Just, I don't want to give people the impression that it's only.
And it's not a good opportunity to reflect, and I guess the years are busy, and you don't realize how much actually happens in a year. You sit back and look and say, okay, so that's good, thank you. Moved by Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor Brennan. The council received the Smith Falls 2025 annual report as information. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We have two bylaws. First with Councillor McKenna, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McGuire that a bylaw lifting part lot control of the lands described as Block 5 of Registered Plan 27M-102 to allow the division of the block into two lots for semi-detached occupancy be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor McGuire. That a bylaw lifting part lot control for the lands described as Block 5 of Registered Plan 27M-102 to allow the division of the block into two lots for semi-detached occupancy be received for the first time and taken for the second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion. Councillor McKenna?
Yeah, this is the last block in phase 2 of Bellamy Farms, and Parkview Homes are already working on phase 3. But this allows them to divide these, with the lifting of this part lot control, allows them to move ahead and with their semi-detached occupancy and develop that out and finish it. So steady progress on this subdivision, and thank you, Parkview.
Thank you. Any further comments? Third reading, please.
Again, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that a bylaw lifting part lot control of the lands described as Block 5 for Registered Plan 27M-102 to allow the division of the block into two lots for semi-detached occupancy be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10693-2026.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that the bylaw lifting part lot control for the lands described as Block 5 of Registered Plan 27M-102 to allow the division of the block into two lots for semi-detached occupancy be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10693-2026. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And Councillor McGuire, you have our final formal piece of business.
So moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that a bylaw to authorize execution of three-year standing offer agreements with NPG Planning Solutions, Stantec Consultants, and WMTA for Heritage Advisory Services be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor McKenna. The bylaw to authorize execution of three-year standing offer agreements with NPG Planning Solutions, Stantec Consultants, and what's that? Watson McEwen Terra Nova, sorry.
Architects.
Architects. Oh, okay, sorry. For Heritage Advisory Services be received in the first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Discussion, please.
Yeah, so this is really great work on behalf of Carl Grenke, our senior planner, and Marie Elmsley in our planning department. We've got, we don't have enough work for Heritage Services to justify having full-time staff or people on the payroll, but by having this competitive process earlier, when we need the expertise, we'll have it at our call, and they've ensured that all the offers are competitive, and they've also completed reference checks and interviews to make sure that everyone on the list is well vetted. So everybody scored close to 80% or above 80%. So very high scores.
Thank you. Any further comments? Third reading, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize the execution of 3 standing offer agreements with NPG, 3-year standing offer agreements with NPG Planning Solutions, Stantec Consultants, and WMTA for Heritage Advisory Services be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10694-2026.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor McKenna. The bylaw to authorize execution of 3-year standing offer agreements with NPG Planning Solutions, Stantec Consultants, Watson McEwen, Terra Nova Architects for Heritage Advisory Services be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10694-2026. All in favor? 2 is carried. Thank you. Inquiries or announcements? Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, I just I had talked about the Recreation Hall of Fame, which is going to be on June 28th of this year. So I'm just going to highlight one of the recipients tonight because I think it's very appropriate. So, no one's probably heard of this fellow. His name is George Vincent Skinner Poulin, and he was born September 17th, 1887, and died May 3rd, 1971. And he was a native of Smith Falls. He's a professional hockey player, played for the Montreal Canadiens in the National Hockey League, NHL, and the Vancouver Aristocrats in the Pacific Hockey Association. And he was part of the original Montreal Canadiens team in 1910 and played the team's first game January 5th, 1910. Poulin won the Stanley Cup with the Canadiens in 1916. During the tail end of his playing career, while playing in Saskatoon, Poulin became engaged as a referee for the 1922 WCHL season, was appointed referee-in-chief for the league that year. So, who knew?
Wow.
And go Habs.
Councillor McKenna.
That's a great story. I look forward to the June 28th event. Tomorrow is Census Day. Remind everybody to fill out your census. You will have a little bit of a grace period after that, but it's the law that you complete that form and send it in. It's really important to the town of Smith Falls that we get that. And I also will know the results of our exact population in early 2027. I just wondered if we wanted to do a pool to pick out, not tonight, but pick out what's your guess on the population as a result of the 2026 census. So
next year's annual report will have probably a significantly different number.
it will have a different number about what is it and can we get within. So I'd like to do a pool. If I organize it, I hope people will respond.
You
Fill out your census.
You organize it, we will all respond.
All right.
And Councillor McGuire.
All right, so the Rideau Canal navigation season opens this weekend, and Smith Falls has one lock station that's named after somebody. All the other ones have generic names. Does anyone know the first name of Old Slies?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Homer.
No,
George.
no. George was closer than Homer.
It must be John then.
Joseph.
William Sly settled in 1798.
Yeah.
His barn was on the North Shore. And Department of Fisheries and Oceans has the Canadian sailing directions for free online. And if you look them up, it's got a great blurb about Smith Falls. It mentions the Heritage House Museum, the Curling and Squash Club, and Lower Ridge Park. And it says the town welcomes visitors and offers the widest selection of facilities between Kingston and Ottawa, as well as a wide variety of stores and services. Smith Falls has a major hospital. And then it's got about Abel Russell Ward and great reference. So if you're going out in the Rideau Canal, Block 26 and 27 is named after William Sly.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you. So who's got trivia for our next meeting? So we have no meeting scheduled for next Monday, next Tuesday.
That's correct, yeah.
Correct, yes. So we got a little bit of extra break with a long weekend. And Councillor Quinn, you've volunteered for the person beside you is nudging your elbow saying volunteering you for the next trivia.
Sure.
Okay. Any further comments, announcements tonight? Nope. Okay. Move on to adjournment, which is with Councillor Brennan.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Quinn, that the committee adjourns proceedings at 6:40 p.m. It stands so adjourned. I'm reading the wrong one. I read this. Yeah, stands so adjourned until the next council meeting.
Okay, yes. Okay, it's moved by Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Quinn. The committee adjourns proceedings at 6:40 p.m. and stands to adjourn at the next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Billy Sly.